Koos Pretorius fights for the rights of hundreds of fellow Mpumalanga farmers. He's in Johannesburg for the day to make a speech at the Human Rights Commission on acid mine drainage. He believes farmers are getting a raw deal from the government when it comes to the granting of mining rights for the coal that is under their farmland. So we all hear stories about coal mining companies pitching up at farm gates with their machinery ready to look for coal. How far true are these stories?
It happens often, where a company will arrive at a farm, claim that they have a prospecting right, it's been granted, they normally have the paperwork to prove it, and say that they've come to prospect, and neither the landowner nor the land occupiers or anybody else has ever been consulted on it.
How fair do you think the mining laws are to farmers?
Well, I think that the Mineral Petroleum Resources Development Act, which we are fall under now, is a fundamental flaws in it, a few of them. And the first one, I would say, is the fact that consultation is extremely restricted. The minister consults with the landowners and occupiers by advertising the fact that she's accepted an application for a mining right hundreds of kilometers away from where the actual land is. So there's no advertisement on the land that the minister is actually considering whether a mining right should be granted.
What exactly do farmers want?
And I think to make it more fair, one should take a process as is done in NEMA, where there's extensive consultation, extensive notification, where all of the information is put on the table, and where the principle of sustainability can then regulate whether the two contradictory land uses, because that is what there is in the case of coal mining, which one should be the one that takes preference.
How much damage is all of this doing to farmers in South Africa?
Well, we've got a few contradictions now. We have food security as one policy, we have coal mining as another policy, we have this ESTA law and the principles of rights of people staying on farms, which is another policy, plus we have protection of very sensitive environmental areas is another policy. And coal mining is contradictory to all of the three of the above. And to give you an idea, in Mpumalanga currently, land surface area, it's got 54% of Mpumalanga's application for mining. Of the Highveld, that's probably about 80% of the Highveld. So in the new ESTA draft law, mining is excluded areas from the ESTA Act. In other words, those land occupiers will have no rights there, which will mean simply that 80% of the land occupiers in Mpumalanga, farm workers and so on, will have no rights. Secondly, if all of that land is mined, there will be no food security. And then you have the water issues that are relating to that, as well as the sensitive areas which need to be protected. So there's no spatial development framework plan to decide where are we going to mine and where are we not going to mine.
Now, what can the farmers that you represent do about all of this?
The problem that we run in is that the Department of Minerals and the way that they implement the Act is not the way that even the highly flawed Mineral Petroleum Resources Development Act was written. So the department never takes into account the sustainability when these conflicting land uses are put before them on the basis of sustainability. In other words, they don't compare the impact of the mine over the life cycle of the impact, which can be hundreds, if not thousands of years. They compare it with the impact on the life of the mine. In other words, they say once the mine closes, they just have to rehabilitate, do aftercare for 2 to 3 years, and that is the end as far as they are concerned. They also don't take into account any of the impact that happens off-site. So if a mine opens and the acid water goes off-site, that is none of their concern. That is a water affairs problem all of a sudden there. So what we need is an implementation of it to happen within the framework of the sustainability principle as is stated in Section 24 of the Constitution.
Now, the government believes that these mining laws make the mining business more transparent and more organized.
In our case, Witbank is 110 kilometers from Belfast. So how transparent is it if the minister puts up an A4 paper stating that she's accepting a mining right? She doesn't tell us the extent, what she wants to do, and she asks us to, within 30 days, consult with her in a meaningful manner when there's absolutely no data on the table. That's not transparent. That is just ridiculous. The second thing is, how transparent is it if a mining right can be granted or a prospecting right and the cumulative impact is not assessed? So in other words, nobody looks at what happens next door, next door, and next door. So everyone is being looked at through only on that property, what will happen on that property. It's not transparent, not at all.
Ultimately, what can you do about it?
Well, we've tried everything else. It's now court cases. I think that's the only thing that will now make a difference.
How far do you plan taking it?
Look, we've got a few. We've got one interdict going. We've got another 2 cases where the papers have been lodged. We've got quite a few appeals going as well. And if need be, we will take it to the Constitutional Court. We believe we are right.
And how far are you prepared to take this?
Well, until we win.